I ain't gonna lie, I was a little intimidated. I had just got to USP Atlanta, and they had buku cell phones there. Even though they was having it in a couple of places that I was in, but they was real rare. So as soon as I got off the bus, I ran into a homie who had one, and he was like, "Yo, you want to call your people?" And I'm like, "I can't call. I ain't got my information or nothing yet because how I do when you transfer, it's like a computer program to the jail phones, and they have to process you coming in, so on and so forth. Your phone don't cut on for probably like the first 2 or 3 days that you're there. So usually you'll get somebody to call through their peoples to let your people know where you at. But my man pulled out a cell phone. I ain't gonna lie, I looked at that shit like he pulled out a Cobra. I was like, you know how you do a dog when you put your hand out to see if they're gonna lick it or not. That's how I put my hand out for the phone. Then when he handed it to me, I didn't know what the fuck to do. And he pressed the phone app. The buttons came up, and I dialed my sister number, and I spoke to her. That was the first time I used a cell phone. And, as gradually I started using it more and more while I was there. And I got a little bit of the hang of it. That's why when I came home, I wasn't a stranger to cell phones, which really helped because, man, it took a minute for me to learn the basic functions and going into the settings and downloading apps and so on and so forth. I set up my Facebook page. Well, my homie helped me do that. My Instagram page. And like I said, I thought TikTok was just a dancing app, so I wasn't even focused on that. And I was people started reaching out to me when they saw my page came up. They was like, "Oh shit, yo, Dan, where you at?" I'm like, "Yo, man, Atlanta USP." I was posting like you couldn't tell where I was at, but you could tell where I was at. Yeah, but then I actually got the hang of it and stuff. Like I said, I got a secure credit card. I started building a credit history, opened up a bank account, started shifting my money over there because I knew I was going to come home. I got my book published, which helped. The judge looked at that. She was like, "Yeah, you got a book published while you was in there that shows that you striving towards being positive and so on and so forth." That phone helped a lot, man. Now I'm out here enjoying my free. Did we know about 9/11 in prison? Hell yeah, we knew about 9/11 in prison. As a matter of fact, it was kind of scary for us because we was in penitentiaries and we didn't really know exactly how things was playing out because there was always this, it's sort of like an urban legend in the prisons that if America was ever invaded, that the government would kill all the prisoners, at least the maximum security prisoners. And I was in a penitentiary. So we was worried about that happening more than anything. Like, yo, what you think they gonna do? Like some of us was talking about not locking in. And but it was serious, but it wasn't that serious. Like we weren't being invaded. Because the premise is that if there's an invading country, they could release prisoners and have a de facto army. And like instantly. Really, they'll use them for cannon fodder, but we was like, damn, man, you think they gonna come in here and kill everybody? Like, yo, they just took out the Twin Towers. That's how we was looking at it. So yeah, that was like that was like one of the scariest moments in prison ever. When that took place because it didn't seem real. Like that was a grand attack, and then all the conspiracy started coming out. But it is what it is. I made it. I'm out here enjoying my free. No doubt, every prison you go to, in every unit, there's a sports TV that stays on sports 24/7. That's the sports TV. If somebody want to watch sports, that's the TV you go to. The main sports that they watch is basketball, football, baseball. Football is mandatory. A football game on, NFL, college, we watching that. That's everybody sweating their tickets. Yeah, we run. They run tickets in prisons. You be having your bet slip in. Everybody be in front of the TV room. You hear dudes making mad noise, And if your team winning, like say if I got money on Oklahoma and Oklahoma crushing, we'd be like big Oklahoma. And if you getting dogged, if your team getting dogged, if a team losing, we'd be like little Oklahoma. You'll hear dudes yelling, "Get in that box!" That's them telling them to score a touchdown, yelling defense, all that, crush their ass. Man, we love sports. I don't know why y'all be thinking we don't be watching sports. The playoffs, the NBA playoffs, the NBA championships, all that's mandatory. All that's mandatory viewing on the sports TVs. If it's any playoffs on, the sports TV is going to be on there. And even some of the other TVs. Like every unit that have multiple TVs. Like in some units, it was like 4 or 5 TVs. And then sometimes they would bring in another TV. One TV would be a Spanish TV. One would be a sports TV. And then the other TVs would really be like up for grabs. I was a TV bandit. Dudes will tell you, I normally ran one of the TVs in the unit. Because I used to like watching TV. I hated prison, man. That was one of my escapes. I hated prison. Reading, being in the law library, watching TV. I didn't like to play into the politics. I didn't like to be around dudes all day. That's not my thing. That's why I am so happy I'm out here. That's easy. Phones. Phones is the biggest change in technology. Like, people don't understand. Like, people who got the transition into it, they don't understand. And even people who was out here to experience it, y'all transitioned into it. But everything you do is on the phone now. You shop from your phone. You pay your bills from your phone. You keep in constant contact. When I was out, if you wanted to speak to somebody, you had to be home, or they had to be home, or you could stop at a payphone. They don't even have payphones out here anymore. That blew my mind when I first came out, but I sort of thought about it. I'm like, damn, everybody got cell phones. They want to have payphones. Then you could pay your bills on your phone. You could keep up with your banking on your phone. Back in the days, if you had to pay a bill, you had to go to the company and pay your bill. If you wanted to pay your phone bill, you had to go to the phone company. You had to drive there, go in there and pay your bill. You had to drive to the electric company, go in there and pay your bill. It wasn't no auto pay. Like, I don't even have to pay attention to anything. I just get the alert when the payment goes through on my phone. The phone is the biggest change, man. It became a necessity. You need it. People shop through their phones. You don't even have to leave home. Like before, if you wanted to get something from the grocery store, you had to go to that grocery store and get it. If you wanted to get something from another particular store, you had to go to that store. No matter how far away it was, you had to go there to that store. If you want to go to Sam's Club, you had to go to Sam's Club. If you wanted to go to Walmart, you had to go to Walmart. If you wanted to go to Costco, you had to go to Costco, no matter how far away it was from you. And then you can keep in contact with people anytime. When I first came out, like for a good while, I just wouldn't call people because it never popped up into my mind that I could just call people anytime. And people would wonder why I wasn't really keeping in contact, because I always had that mentality, I'll call when I get home. Now I could call while I'm driving. I could just use driving mode and call somebody and speak to somebody while I'm driving. And I didn't think about that for a minute when I got out. I still had that back in the day mind state of you had to be home to call somebody and so on and so forth. It's like phones is the biggest change. Yeah, phones. So much you can do. I can invest on the phone. I can do my banking on the phone. Like I said, I can do my shopping. I can learn things on the phone. I can go to YouTube. I'm a YouTube University alumni. I done changed my alternator, my belt, my serpentine belt, my spark plugs, my engine coils, my radiator to the car, my radiator hose, my lights, my tires, and all of that I learned off YouTube. I done did all that shit. I done changed my ignition switch. I changed my air filters. I done did all of this shit, man. And that's from YouTube. I went from not being able to drive to being able to change out certain parts of the car, change oil, change my transmission fluid. I know how to do all that shit now, and I learned that shit through the phone. Yeah, the phone is magic. I enjoy my. The biggest lesson I learned from prison, that's easy. It's a saying from a president. I don't remember which one, but you'll never get where you're going if you stop to deal with every dog that barks along the way. Once I learned that, I started getting where I needed to be, which was out here. Also, in growth, it's necessary to cut certain people out of your life. People that don't want to see you grow, people that still want to look at you as how you used to be, people that don't respect the person that you're becoming, you gotta let them go. I don't care how long you knew them. I don't care how close you are. If they don't respect your growth, you gotta let them go.